the Power Bomb Project. I am one of your hosts, Daniel, joined by my other two hosts.
It's Berman.
And Speedy Gonzalez, aka you,
Yeah.
Daniel.
That's Speedy me. Yes. Peace. Anyways, that would be Chris, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
So today we are going to talk about the most recent Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, which is going to be the final movie in all of Phase 4. We'll be reviewing the rest of the movies, series, and specials in just about a month or so here. So don't worry, people. That content's coming soon. So, this movie has a lot of unique, different opinions on it. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are in the middle about it, they're conflicted. A lot of different opinions. This is what I'll say. I thought it was really good. Was it perfect? No, it was not. And I think I'll explain more when we get into it. And we're going to talk about the pros first, but are there any quick thoughts either of you two have on this movie before we begin?
No, I think it definitely was a pretty perfect sequel. If the only thing that would have been better if that guy, rest in peace, the Black Panther actor. But it'd been great if he was still alive and he was in a movie. But still, they did a great job representing how he died, pretty much very similar from real life to the movie. So that's a good on them.
All right, and then any quick thoughts from you, Chris?
I have enjoyed it way better than the first one, and more substance to it.
Well, let's begin, y'all. First, we're going to talk about the good for this movie. So, what did I really like about this movie? I thought the visuals were stunning, quite impeccable. And outside of like 2 shots, it looked pretty insane. The underwater sequences definitely could have, looked like something out of James Cameron's Avatar, if I'm being quite honest here. And what else do I have to say about it that's really positive? I think Namor makes for a top 5 villain in the MCU. Is he better than Killmonger from the first movie? The answer is no. But he makes for a really good villain here. There is really good acting from everyone. I will say more about this movie once we get into our spoiler section of the review. This first half is going to be spoiler free. The second half will be completely spoilers. There will be a timestamp in the description of where we start to talk about spoilers, and we will do a countdown before we talk about spoilers. So that's pretty generous for all you viewers out there. But all I will say is that this is a more serious movie in terms of tone, especially the most serious out of Phase 4, and that is something that I appreciate about this movie, because I feel like a lot of these recent movies have just been way too like reliant on Marvel Cinematic Universe comedy that just doesn't really hit anymore, and thankfully this movie doesn't really do that. Again, the acting from everyone is pretty good, nothing outstanding or crazy, but this was a really, really good film in terms of acting performances. And, as we all know already, this film is in honor of Chadwick Boseman. And does it succeed in kind of honoring that legacy? I feel like it does, but not entirely. Now, it's hard to explain what I mean by that. But I feel like this movie needs to, digest more like with time. Give it like a few months. I feel like I'll have my thoughts more gathered about this film overall. But it does a pretty good job in honoring him. The whole recast T'Challa thing was quite huge leading into this film. And for anyone that just simply saw the trailer, they already know they did not recast T'Challa. And I get why a lot of people are upset about it, especially Black Panther fans. The argument is that, Batman, Superman, they all get recast and stuff, but the whole issue is Black Panther is just simply not as iconic of a character yet as those characters are. When not too many people have read the Black Panther comic books. So, at the end of the day, when people think of Black Panther, the majority of audiences are going to not think of the comics. They're going to think of Chadwick Boseman's performance as Black Panther. And that's what it is. And I'm not going to talk about the protagonist too much. We will more in the spoiler review. But all I will say is the protagonist is a really good protagonist. Although I will admit it is not as strong of a protagonist as Chadwick was, and that's just the unfortunate truth. And Namor, again, great villain, but I feel like there were just slight things that couldn't really compare to um, Killmonger in a way. And again, I'll dive more into that once we get into the cons. But yeah, this movie really doesn't rely on universe building to tell a good story. And yeah, that's all I could really say. I feel like some of the side characters in this film I'll talk more about as well. But yeah, that's all I could really say about the good for this film.
Yeah, I think that's completely fine. There's a lot of great things. I think Namor has been one of those interesting ones. He does have this great villain side to him. I think they did a great job on him. The look of him is perfect. The Aztec style of himself looks perfect. I think the every character shows some nice comedic aspects, and the good thing I like too is they didn't go overboard with the comedy. They put it off to the side. They had like two characters more of this comedic relief, which is perfectly fine. They made the movie more fun, and they made some of these main characters from the old movie make bigger appearances or make side appearances that made it more interesting. And I like how the storyline was the thing that I did like how they posed all the things, and we talk a little bit more about this about the in the spoilers, but I loved how they did in the beginning of the movie. I'll talk about more of the spoiler in the spoiler version sooner or later. But I loved the movie. They did a great job. Namor's been probably one of my favorites to see him, and I think they did a great job kind of portraying him as this Azteca person, like a Mexican, perfectly well. So that's all I have to say about this movie for now until spoilers.
And then for this instance, this movie was solid. In my opinion, I thought it had way more substance than the first movie. I mean, yeah, you could argue that Killmonger was the better villain due to his acting skills, but he wasn't. Like we got into the last video we said before, I gave my opinions that he wasn't really a major part of that film until like halfway. And as long as Namor, he was in it for the entirety. I can understand him where his like antagonist comes from. Like, what's the point of him being here? I bought it every way, and for the majority of the movie, I was pretty much with him without getting into too much of a spoiler, because I understood his like what his emotions and what he's going through and why he the way he is, like kind of like of a Thanos character sort of, where he's just like, I have a purpose, I'm here, and I have a greater plan for this. And one of the smartest MCU villains we haven't seen for a hot minute, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. And they gave a cool send off for Chad, so that was cool.
All right, so now we move on to the bad. So this movie is a bit too long. I think it dragged a bit during the first act, if I'm being quite honest here. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like the characters in this film aren't quite utilized as much in the first film. Like M'Baku, for example, yes, he has some comedy relief, but I feel like he didn't get enough screen time. And I really felt like he wasn't as important of a role as he was in the first film. Yes, did he do some important things, say some important things? Maybe. But overall, he wasn't that important of a character compared to the first film. And that's kind of disappointing to me, at least. Um, and yeah, again, if the movie was cut by 20 more minutes, I think this would definitely get a higher score for me. But I'm not gonna lie, there were just scenes in that first act that just really dragged. And you'll get what I'm talking about when you see the film. You kind of have to have patience for this film to really appreciate and enjoy it, I guess you could say. And this is something I kind of have to mention in a way because it's a debate that's being brought up all over the internet right now. Every man in this film is either spineless or evil. That is a huge critique I am seeing about the film all over the place. And I actually looked it up, combining all the men in this film. There is probably less than half an hour of screen time for all the men in this film. And again, it goes along with the whole MCU criticism. And I understand it, y'all. I understand where y'all are coming from in that sense, but at the same time, there are tons and tons of movies with male protagonists, and there are tons and tons of movies with female protagonists. So I want to be honest, to me, it wasn't quite a big deal, and it didn't feel nearly as insulting as She-Hulk felt, if I'm being quite honest on that. So I feel like that criticism kind of just needs to chill out a little bit. But yeah, I will admit every man in this film is pretty much evil or spineless. That is just pure honesty right there. There is not one man who isn't spineless or isn't evil in this film, and that's just the truth behind it. So that's really all the bad I could say about it.
Well, and now that's a contradiction to something else. I think there's only one man who's not spineless and who's not super like bad. He was a perfectly nice guy, and that was agent, the agent. I forgot his name, Agent Reed or Agent Green. He's just perfect. He's not like he's pretty much just trying to help Wakanda, being a helpful guy. And then technically the woman, his boss, his old wife, his boss, pretty much said, "Hey, um, nah, don't." I'm gonna talk a little bit more, but still, it's. I think that character was the only character that said, "Hey, he's not the bad guy. He's just a helpful guy." Everyone else is true. Pretty much every other man is a bad guy or just doesn't is just spineless. I would say off the bat. So, but I think they did a good job. I think people just need to chill the hell out. I've seen a lot of reviews that people say, and this is pissed me off, is that people this is the disgrace to a Latino America. That's just stupid. They did a great job on showing Latino America, like the Aztecs and stuff. So these guys are just trips. They're tripping. They're being dicks. So I'm not gonna call anyone out, but anyone who says that crap, that's I don't. You're just complete dicks about the movie. That's all I said.
I'm sorry. The only part I can really say that's bad about this movie, and we'll get it more into the spoiler section. The more I was thinking about it, was mainly the main reason why Namor even got involved with the whole Wakandas. But as I said before, once we get into it, I'll go more into detail because it was pretty dumb. Like thinking about it retrospectively. But I will resume my comments till then.
All right, now we're gonna move on to the final section, which is the rating. So we said some good, we said some bad. Overall thoughts is that this was a very enjoyable film. It did a good job at paying tribute to Chadwick Boseman in the way that it did. I know this was hard on all the actors to do because the death affected them in a way, the director, the cast, everyone. Soundtrack was really good. That was something else I should have mentioned. Not quite as strong as the first film, but it was really good. And it delivered when it needed to. Overall, I think this was a very good film. When I first saw the first Black Panther, my initial rating was a 7.5. And then over time, it became an 8. Maybe the same will happen for this film. But as of right now, I am feeling a 7.5 out of 10. Very good film. But there were some things that could have been changed. Some time could have been cut. And I think this would have been a better film for those reasons.
Yeah, for me, I'm a big positive. I love this movie. I loved it, the first one, and this one was a great one. I love the succession of how they did it, how they honored him, how they honored the death of Chadwick, and I love that how the movies started. The villain, the protagonist, it worked. There was only a few types of character. There was only a few things that was like iffy, but I still loved it. So I'm always gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a 9.
And then I'd give it an 8. I did have some problems with that one plot device, but we'll get into in the spoilers. But overall, I thought it was way more enjoyable than the first film, and there's a lot more to offer, so it's gonna get an 8 from me.
All right. Spoiler section. So, Chris, I kind of want you to explain the whole Namor thing that you had in your head. I'm kind of curious about that personally.
All right. So now that I'm thinking about it, like the whole point of Namor like going against a scientist was the whole uranium like machine, right?
Vibranium.
Vibranium. God damn it, vibranium machine, like it detected, right? And the whole point of his character and the reason why we get into the conflict in the first place is because Namor's like, I need to kill that one specific scientist that invents in that machine. And then I'm kind of thinking, like, I'm sure at this point, like, even because the CIA discovers it in like the first beginning scenes of the movie, like, wait, wouldn't it just be invented already or in the process of being invented? So even if you were to kill like Ironheart or whatever her name was, like that machine will still exist no matter what you do. But that's like the only critique I really have for Namor's like motivation, because I'm just like even if you do kill the scientists, I mean they're still gonna make the machine no matter what. And hell, they're probably making it right now as we speak. But that's the only thing that was kind of dumb. Like thinking
You know
about
what
it
I would
now.
have called that?
Yo,
I'd call that a plot hole.
yeah.
I think so, but the thing that I kind of feel for Namor and for specifically honest that he is what is pretty much he's like Black Panther but for the ocean. It's pretty much the best way you can think about it is that he's the Black Panther for the ocean. He makes sure that he wants to protect his people. He wants to protect his what's it called his realm, the Tuckakan, I think they called it, the underworld, the underwater castle place. He's trying to just protect his people, and this is the best way he can do it. And then this probably and another thing, and this is because I'm giving reason that this is probably his first time doing this, trying to fix this problem, and he probably has not fixed a lot of these problems before in his time because he has been secretive for a very long time. But now his needs to do this. Now he's his first time trying to figure out how to deal with this problem. So I'm gonna give Namor a slide for this one.
And what about T'Challa Jr., y'all?
Yeah, that was you. And when all three of us went for this movie, we should say that too. We went for this movie like yes, wait, 2 days ago, I said, and and I think we here in the movie theater when they brought out Junior T'Challa, everyone gasped like a really good, pretty everyone, most of them had a big gasp of the movie theater. Like everyone was like happy to see that they actually did something too, and they tried to make it this. And I think they made it a great jump, a great twist. I think they did a great job on bringing the character back with this, the little T'Challa. So I think they did a great job.
Yeah, our entire theater clapped after that scene, and basically during the credits, kind of crazy. They really loved the film.
Yeah. So I think they did a great job on that. The big thing too was, and I want to bring this up, was the beginning on how they present. Um, sorry, the Black Panther's death is
Yeah, like
pretty
the
much
funeral and stuff.
they made it all so close to the disease that they said in the movie he died by an undisclosed disease. That's the exact way he pretty much died in real life as a disease. So they pretty much did a great job on saying, hey, we're not going to say, oh, he got assassinated or something crap like that. No, he just died with that disease.
A lot of
They
people,
pretty much did that.
no, sorry about that. A lot of people have the issue that, what is it? That Chadwick's death was off screen. I don't think that criticism any makes fucking sense, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, that makes no sense. It's like you don't want to see a dead body of a guy who just died like maybe 2 years or 3 years ago, whatever, how many years ago. He You don't want to see this guy's dead body. You probably make the whole theater cry from that whole thing. To be perfectly honest, and this is a sad moment, but still, I don't think you want to see like someone dying in there who's already dead. And I don't think the family, even the family of Chadwick, wants to see that in their own movie. It
Right,
makes no sense.
it feels a bit disingenuous.
Yeah, disrespectful. It makes no sense to from do that on to his name. It's perfectly fine how they did that, making like it's off screen, but you still feel the impact of him dying. You see the funeral and the casket. It's perfectly fine. They didn't. They shouldn't. No one should be critiquing that. That's just stupid idiots doing that. Think about that.
And another point being too, what else is another stupid criticism? So I know it's not like from anyone like normal. It's just more of the extreme side. But when you send me that fucking video of those guys complaining, it's like, well, the Mexican representation wasn't at all applied in the Marvel movie. because they were the bad guys, and we can't have a strong female lead because that's stupid, and I'm an alpha.
And I saw another video, right? We're
Yeah.
not calling any names out. We're just taking shots
But
here
if
just
you
for the
know,
fun of
you
it.
know, because that's really fucking stupid.
But you know what else the guy said?
What?
Seeing the black people fight Mexicans gave him PTSD
Oh
of
my
his childhood.
God.
So we all know the source of why he hates this film.
Yeah, just racist, more or less. Just dumb. Like Mexican being racist. That's the first time you
Oh,
hear that.
and another criticism is that Mexican people are all blue in this movie except for one guy. Did you take any offense to that, Chris, as you are a Mexican?
No, but he's got a point. How come some of them were blue and how come some of them were brown if they're in the water?
I think it's just I think it's some because and this is the big thing I loved about it too. That we want to talk and this goes to the Mexican stuff is the Namor backstory. It was great. I think the Namor backstory made perfect sense about his mom and his whole tribe pretty much just getting uh, wiped out by Spanish flu by the conquistadors. So and they just found a magical or like Wakanda and ate it became amphibians or amphibians, and they went into the water perfectly fine, and they kind of turned blue. I think that's a great Namor, and even the story of his name that made me chill when he said like that. He got his name from a dying priest, saying, "No one would love you. This is the man with no love." And in Namor, that's the Namor is in Spanish called no more, no one loves, or no one loves the man who's no one loves. So it perfectly makes sense how they got this name, and the backstory is perfect.
Agreed. And another funny thing, well, not really funny, I just have to mention it. It's okay to like or dislike this film. It is completely fine. I understand why a lot of fans of the original Black Panther were kind of let down by all of this. I get it, and I understand. But all I have to say is at the end of the day, whether someone likes or dislikes a film, just respect people's opinion. Like, when I didn't like Doctor Strange 2, a lot of people disagreed with me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being in the unpopular route in that aspect. And all I can say is this: the ratings on all these websites right now are pretty high. A lot of people enjoy this film. Just let people enjoy the film. If you are personally offended by anything that happens in the film, all I could say is no offense. That shit's on you, pal. Don't take it out on the rest of the world and other people and other people's opinions and other people's enjoyment of the film. Let people enjoy whatever they want to enjoy, even if it's like, I don't know, this big ass spider movie from the 90s. I don't fucking know. Just let people enjoy anything they want to at the end of the day. You know, it's all in good fun. And if you believe in, just debating in, respectful ways, or, we can respectfully disagree on things. That's what this channel is about. Me, Chris Berman, if you watch a lot of our videos, we have very different opinions from each other from time to time. And sometimes we'll like joke around and kind of poke fun at each other for the opinions, but it's all lighthearted and we don't mean anything behind it. So, if you are disrespecting those people who do enjoy this film, just go outside, go enjoy your life, go get a hobby. That's all I could tell you.
Yeah, he perfectly said that. They don't need to say anything else. But one thing we want to say, and I want mainly Chris to talk about this because he had a gripe about it too, and I'll take it over. It was the Ironheart, that about the suit and the character itself. So first, we need to talk about that because you had a lot of things to say about the Ironheart.
Okay, I will say that Ironheart was kind of okay, and the main criticism, man, like I'm not sure if you guys like ever seen like a show called Rebels by any chance. You know, like Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
Okay, so you know the character Sabine, right?
barely, but yeah, I recognize it.
Don't.
I don't.
Okay, so point being, Sabine and the new Ironheart are very similar, just due to the fact that they're kind of just placed there. like they don't really add anything but besides being like the main plot device. Kind of what they did with what was her name, like Gonzalez or something like that in like Doctor Strange movie. Like I could be getting that wrong, but
Or
this character,
American Chavez.
yeah, there we go.
American Chavez.
Like she was just a prop, and she was just like the main force behind the plot. Like she just had a couple scenes here and there, and it was very very generic. Like I'm sure we'll get when her show comes out eventually, they'll flush out her character. But as seen right now, she was just kind of there to just sell merchandise, in my opinion. And then her suit was cool and all, but it was mostly CGI, and you can tell it was fake from the moment I saw it. I'm like, I like the little Power Rangers like design based off of it, but the character itself is just kind of just meh. And if anything, it was kind of annoying. It was like, oh, I'm supposed to be you, the audience, so you can relate to this character in this movie. Like it was just there just to be put in there, just so what's her name, Cherie would have like a friend. I really truly think that's the whole reason why she was even in this movie to begin with, just so that
Yeah.
we can relate to somebody. But that's the only major critique I have. But she wasn't a major part of the movie, so I'm not gonna like take any points away from it because she was in it for like maybe like 30 or 20 minutes of the film, and that's about it.
I mean, yeah, I get your point. I feel like my whole thing is this is a completely new character that we only did get that much time with. I feel like we need to know more about her before we can really judge her. That's just my whole opinion. Kind of like American Chavez, you know, kind of the same thing.
And that's when we need to wait for the Disney Plus shows, which Ironheart is confirmed, but American Chavez is not confirmed yet. So we
Yeah.
need to wait for those to pop up and see if they make more storylines with Ironheart. And the big thing too is my gripe, and that's really the only gripe to me, is that it's just her suit. I'm hoping that they change it into a suit that looks more familiar or more similar to the Iron Man suit, which it should have some similarities because those two are fairly close together, Ironheart and Iron Man. So I'm hoping that they kind of fixed it to make it look more closer to the movie of Iron Man, or something close to it at least.
Yeah. So I can see that. I can see that. Again, I'm not going to judge too much on the Ironheart character. Are there any final thoughts you guys want to put out before we end the video?
The another thing I want to push up is the what's it called, Namor's home, the Tutankhamun. That is a beautiful place. When you see it, it's a perfect amount of, like, you see the ocean, you see all these people flying, swimming around. I say flying, and that what Namor said, that he brought his own. He made a ball out of vibranium and brought the sun to his people. I think that's a great how they bring it up, and I think they did a great job on showing how Namor's home looks compared to the outside worlds, and it looks great. I think they did a great job on how they, and it made it look like really Aztec, a very Aztec pyramids and Aztec look. So I think they did a great job on that place.
Any final thoughts from you, Chris?
And then the one thing I really enjoyed the movie was the ending, just due to the fact of the amount of possibilities. Because at this point, like Wakanda is pretty much doomed for, because they got, while Namor and his people were like throughout the movie, they were messing with the U.S. government and all these other governments because they were trying to like take away their material from their oceans or whatever. So it kind of led to like the U.S. government thinking that Wakanda was behind all of this. So not only do they have to worry about the U.S. government, they also have to worry about Namor eventually becoming more powerful to take over like the whole country of Wakanda. And on top of that, that T'Challa has a son to take over the throne. And not only that, one of the warriors, I'm gonna get his name wrong, but uh, Wak Wakibi, right, or Wakabe, like however you
Oh
say it.
wait, which one? The is the black the what they? Which one are you talking about?
the 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 main one, like he's like the head chief of the village in the mountains or whatever.
Oh, Umbaku.
There you go. So M'Baku also wanted to challenge Sheree for the title of the crown, but she obviously didn't show up because she was visiting like the wife of T'Challa, which complicates things even further. So not only do you have the country possibly getting destroyed by the government, or by Namor's people, or by that warrior, it's just a huge mess. And if they do make a third film, it's gonna be great. I really can't wait to see how they're gonna play this one off. It's good.
Yeah, same too. I think they did a good job. And another thing is that I forgot her name. The leader, the general, the lady. I forgot her name. I totally forgot, but she got a new suit called the Midnight Angels. That's a great idea, and I think the thing too that I love that she saved Agent Ross. I think it's Agent Ross. Now I think about it, she saved Agent Ross from going to jail. So I kind of love that they say, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. You did a great job on it to help Wakanda. We're gonna help you, and he's going to be staying in Wakanda for now on. So I think that's pretty cool that they gave her a lot more thing for her.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, guys, really good movie. Check it out for yourselves. If you guys don't like it, that's okay too. I think it's one of the better Phase 4 movies. Again, that's all I can say. So, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Daniel.
I've been Berman.
And I've been Chris.
We'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.